You'll start as Baruch Atah Borek Yagav, and then Cantor and I, and everyone else will join in.
Yeah.
Okay? So, are you good for tomorrow?
Yeah.
You sure?
I've been practicing the reading it from the Torah from the dictionary.
Remember, I got your back no matter what. You're going to shine. I want you to celebrate tomorrow. Okay? So let me put this underneath. And we'll use that cup tomorrow.
Come on. So after I do all of this, then I just go to use or whatever to the soap. Okay.
Why don't you stay up here at least until we get to that piece that you're going to 266, okay?
So stay up here the whole time basically. And then after I read 266, go down.
After everybody sits, after the Ahata,
That's when I'll go down.
yeah, you can go down.
Yeah.
Or you can stay up here all the service. I'm easy, but yeah, that would be so. After you do this, your parents are going to go down. You stay up here until after that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So go tell Mom so she's not confused.
sign this?
Only if you want to.
Okay.
I do because I tend to stray sometimes. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, come on. Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful. Great we can be here. It's an important weekend, and for a host of reasons. We are welcoming family from around to celebrate the bar mitzvah. If I may, Smash's bar mitzvah. That's what he told me I'm supposed to call him. So, okay. And we've got a lot to talk about tonight. But with that, we're going to wish each other Shabbat Shalom, Shir HaMa'alot. Cantor Robin, if you will tell them where we are and how you want them to help.
All right. So our opening song is called Shir HaMa'alot, and you have 2 words in this song that you need to know. Shabbat Shalom. That's it. So you're good on that.
Okay,
right.
Let's do it because you didn't do it very well the first time. Shabbat Shalom.
All right, Conrad. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, please join me. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, let's do it again. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shir HaMa'alot B'shuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kechol Mim. Are you ready? Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
We will continue at 142 as we call the angels, the Malachei HaSha'aret, the guardian angels, hoping that they will accompany us through this day of rest and renewal, and we pray for peace.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSha'aret, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So we're going to light Shabbat candles and set the week aside and chant Kiddush, remembering creation and freedom. And so you want to ask your family to come up, or you want me to just ask them all to come up? Okay. I need the Mitchell family to please come up and join us. Oops. Okay, the first. There we go. Left through, left right, then that's good. We're good to go. Now, if you'll take this candle and light those and then no, just one half of it. Yeah. Amen. Okay. Right here.
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
We're on page.
We're on page 122. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemigra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta ve'tanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Chaim? It's grape juice. You can drink it.
Yeah.
Out of family Kiddush cup. So Mazal Tov. All right. Knuckles? Thank you. I get Knuckles? Cool. Okay, you guys go down. Sawyer, you stay. I'm easy. So, at this point, I'm going to ask that you look around the room. If there's someone that you don't know, this would be a great time to meet them. If there's someone you do know that you haven't seen in the last 24 hours, it would be a great time to catch up for a moment. But please, if you can, move and greet somebody. And if you can't move, someone should come to you to greet you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And Shabbat Shalom.
Wow. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Congratulations.
Page 256. So everyone's been greeted in some form or fashion. Did everybody say hi to John in the back? Hi, John. So those of you who are standing, you're on a leg up because I'm gonna ask everyone to rise. We're at page 264 for Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam avad.
We're on page 266.
Please read responsibly. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world.
In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth.
In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age the children of Torah become the builders and seek to set the world firm on its foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Avad.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 269, we read responsively. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Page 270. Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam, ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam. Ay 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 ay, ya ba ba bim bam. Ay 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 ay, ya ba ba bim bam. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehilot o sefer Torah tehilot o sefele. Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba 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 bim bam, ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba 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 bim bam. Ay 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 ay, ya ba 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 bim bam. Ay 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 ay, ya ba 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 bim bam.
In the middle of 272, please read with me. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat. Observing Shabbat throughout the ages is a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam.
So there's a midrash that the parts of the body were arguing which was the most important. And the head says, look, if the brain isn't functioning and not focused, nothing happens. And the feet said, well, you can think all you want, but if I don't get you someplace, then it doesn't really matter. And the hands said, well, okay, you can get me there, but how are you going to open the door? So you can't get near anybody, you can't hug anybody if it wasn't for the hands. And on, and finally the mouth opened and said, I don't care if you can get there, I don't care if you're breathing, I don't care any of that stuff. If when I open my mouth and I say something wrong, I ruin it for everybody. So we take for granted this next piece of the service. Adonai sefatai tiftach, God, open my lips that my mouth may not just speak, but may declare glory. Meaning that there's a commitment when we start this piece of the service that everything that's going to come out of our mouths ought to be beneficial, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us. So it's an often thought past line. It's the opening to the Amidah. It may be one of the most crucial pieces of the entire liturgy because it doesn't matter what we say if the intention isn't behind it. And so traditionally we stand for this part of the service if you can. If you can't stand physically, at least spiritually. And we're on page 273.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umeviyu la'livnei bneihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah.
So we continue on page 278. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Shabbat. Please be seated. Page 281. Please join me responsively at the top. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we're grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
And we continue together, O God, our Redeemer and Helper. Let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness. You are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulchana'eh lehodot. And we will turn the page and we will pray for peace.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Thus far, everything in the liturgy has been first person plural, the us. in here and the wider us of the world. There comes that moment where we move to a first person singular. And there's words provided for our private prayer on page 283 if we don't have anything else that we need to talk to God about. Presumption is that we probably all do, but some of us aren't sure how to or when to, so we get these words. But we still pause for a moment to be able to say, God, this is what I need, and this is what I know that you need from me. So take those moments.
Shalom Bimramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael, ve'imru Amin. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael.
We live in a world of mystery, and we don't always even know where to begin looking for the hows and the whys that things happen. And so when we get to this place of the service where we remember people who are in need of healing and restoration, whether it's bodily or emotions or spirit, people ask me, so why do we say names? It's not like God is going to hear that if 40 people said the name, the person's getting to get better, and if it was only 39, God says, sorry. So why do we do that? The answer, the best answer I can offer from, I think, all religious traditions is that when we know that people are talking about our health in terms of strength, when we know that there's a community being aware of our need, there's some exchange of energy that helps the healing process, whether it's physical, spiritual, or emotional. But it also calls on us to remember to make phone calls to let someone know that they're being thought of, to make the visit, to send the card, to do the things that would bring them honor, that they can hear someone said, oh, I heard that someone did this on your behalf. And so I don't know how it works, but I believe heart and soul that it does. And so we're thinking of people who our office knows about, Dorothy Parent, Honey Kibler, Lillian Goldberg, and Benjamin Groff. But if there's other people that you know that are in need of a boost, of restoration, of some sense of healing, please feel free to share their names, and then we will ask God for healing for the rest of the world as well. So if there's names you would like to offer, please do so.
children.
It goes back and forth across the room. There's so many people, those named, those suffering from the inhumanity that we impose on each other, those who are ill or injured, and certainly for those who are exhausted caring for those who are ill and injured and need to be cared for as well. For all those and more, we ask that God help us become instruments of healing. Our Mishaberach prayer is on page 371.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I sat down to write for tonight, and as Lori will tell you, on a couple of different occasions I said, okay, I've written the sermon. And then I've torn up the sermon, which I do on a regular basis, by the way, especially for the holidays. For 4 sermons in the holidays, I may write 15. But this week has been really troubling as I looked at the world around me. Yesterday was a day that is of monumental historic importance. Queen Elizabeth II died, living much longer than many ever expected. And there's a new king. But before she passed last year, I don't know if you know this, but she issued several royal edicts. One of which was that Charles would not be allowed to rule past the age of 80. And while she changed her mind, that Camilla would not be ever crowned queen consort because of how she became his consort. She changed her mind on that, but she said as part of an edict that she didn't trust the generation to rule the country competently. And she wanted it to be passed on to her grandson as quickly as possible. That's monumental in all sorts of ways, ruling from the grave even. If that weren't enough, this week, 21 years ago, 9/11. Those of us who are old enough remember where we were. You know, young men, you weren't even yet. For you, you study it as if it's ancient history, something else in the history of this country. But I remember I was teaching a class at Coker College, and someone came in and said what happened, and I said, nah. And then it wasn't. And I remember going into a grocery store that day in Florence, South Carolina, to watch and then help one of my daughter's high school friends who is from Southeast Asia being thrown out of the grocery store for being one of those Muslim terrorists. High school kid. And then I found out that day that the flight that went down in Pennsylvania, was a flight that my brother would have been on as chief cabin steward. And I said Kaddish for my brother that night, to find out, thank God, he was pulled off it at the last minute. But that was the day that the whole country stood still. And I'm not sure that we've ever recovered. So you got these two pieces of monumental history that happened this weekend. And then you look into Torah and it says, Uvacharta b'chayim, choose life. And it commands us to understand that horrible things happen and we can't get stuck in them. And so I look at this weekend, and in the midst of all of that stuff, we're going to be celebrating a bar mitzvah tomorrow. I mean, young man, your bar mitzvah is historic in that it is the phoenix that rises from the ashes. For all of the stuff about what was, tomorrow we start talking about what is and what can be. And so we say that we're prisoners of hope. And that's, I think, one of the most beautiful pieces about who we are. And with all of that, I approached the Torah portion this week, Kitetse, and, okay, here's trivia. If you get this right, you get my parking space for Yom Kippur, because I've already pledged it to Andy, but Andy said he didn't need it. Okay? So if you get this one right, for Yom Kippur you have a parking space. How many mitzvot are in Torah, first person? 613. Okay? Just throwing that out there. And of those, 12% of them, 74, are found in this week's Torah portion. That's kind of profound that when you think about the entire year, and over 12% of all the mitzvot are in this week's Torah portion. So there's some important things here, almost as if Moses, nearing the end of his days, is trying to admonish people who are about to cross over the River Jordan and inherit a new land. Guys, remember, there are rules for engagement. There's things that you're supposed to do to take care of each other. You have to be intentional about how you're living. And there's one piece that reminds us about being honest with each other. We've already been taught in Leviticus, way back when, you don't steal. Remember those things, the Ten Commandments? We were taught in Exodus, and we were taught again in Deuteronomy. Lots of times we're told don't steal. But this time, God says, through Torah, through Moses, that all who put inaccurate weights on the scale are an abomination. Now think about it. If you go in to buy a pound of apples and the scale is a little bit twisted, you're not going to notice it as much. But if you go in and you put 5 apples and it weighs 7 pounds, you're going to know something's wrong, right? So these changes, these alterations in the weights are very subtle. And how many of us would really be upset if the apples cost us 10 cents more for the purchase than it might have had the scale been accurate? Would you go to the manager over 10 cents? Anybody? No. But that's why Torah singles this out and says this isn't just about stealing. This is about the intention that goes behind the continual practice of taking advantage of somebody. Okay? It's not a one-shot deal. It's not a, oh, I'm going to cheat you, and so, wait, everybody pretend you're not watching. I'm going to alter the scale so that, you know, when Lori comes in and puts her apples on the scale, it's the wrong price. And then when she leaves, I'm going to go fix it for everybody else. This is an intention to defraud the entire community, even by just a little bit, knowing that it would be undetected and you can get away with it. And so, even while we're admonished not to steal, this is considered to be an abomination before God. It may not amount to very much money. This person who's running the market may get an extra $50 a year from that ever so slight change in the weights. But it's that I'm willing to gain an advantage over you by being dishonest. That's the problem. So the crime of false weights and measures is so abominable because it becomes the practice and the exception. And even while you may have altered the scales the first time, 5 years from now, you may not even remember you altered the scales, but you're still benefiting from what you did to defraud someone at the very beginning. So we're called out on that. And then Torah says, but what if you turn it around? What if, instead of talking about the everyday behavior of trying to defraud someone, we talked about the everyday behavior of trying to bless someone? What if we altered the scales in favor of the consumer? So that when someone came in, they were actually going to get a little bit more from us than they thought they were going to get. The metaphor being, when someone walks into your store, they expect to get what they were shopping for, but what if you did something that made their day? You know, I love to tell a story, and I'm going to call out my wife on this. When we were moving to New Jersey, on the day that I had meetings and we were looking for houses, she stopped at a coffee shop near one of the train stations, and as has been a practice for us, she bought her coffee and she paid it forward. She bought the next person in lines as well. And it was nice, it was wonderful, and she came back a couple hours later to get another cup of coffee, and the person behind the counter told her that that lasted for about 2 hours. Someone came in and found their coffee was paid for, and they said, well, let me pay for the next one in line. Mitzvah gereret mitzvah. So the rabbis will tell us that every time we get one of these admonitions of abomination, if you turn it around and you think about what the blessing would be, the not one-time temptation to be kind, but the behavior that we set in stone, and then that becomes the way in which everything happens from that point forward. The time that we get to help someone who's in need because we see it. That's a blessing, that's a mitzvah. But then we have to know that there are lots of folks in need, and so it becomes a matter of behavior. So I don't put something in the tzedakah jar once. I don't walk by a tzedakah jar without making sure I put something in it. Same way, by the way, you're trained for the mezuzah on your house. You hang it up, and it's not, okay, that's a nice piece of art as I walk in the door. You're supposed to acknowledge the blessing of having that home. Every time you walk in, whether you touch it, you kiss it, or you acknowledge it. So everything in our tradition admonishes us. Uvacharta b'chaim, choose life. Uvacharta bracha, and choose the blessing. So as challenging as it is to look at parts of the world that we grew up with falling apart and the memorials that are happening, we have the blessing of watching tomorrow emerge. We have the blessing of being able to help and shape and forge that future. And I think that that's who we're supposed to be. And I pray that is who we are. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We will continue with Aleinu. I'm going to ask everyone to turn to page 586, and those who can, please rise. As we take this time to acknowledge the transition in life from being able to hold their hands to the time when they continue to hold on to our hearts. And so we remember the lives of Louis Cohen, Joan Podol, Edward Rothman, Mark Stephen Sachs, Rachel Schwab, Sylvia Shelton, Perla S. Schwartz, Celia Simon, Ira Spivak, and Delois E. Wilson. Are there other annual yard sites being observed tonight? Zichronam livracha. May the memories that they leave to us always lead us to blessing. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabba be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayachon uv'yom echon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemeda kudsha b'richu le'la min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Please be seated. Except for you.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel Tov to the Mitchell family. You're all welcome to come to the temple tomorrow afternoon after the bar mitzvah and bring along your gardening tools to help local Boy Scout troops and members of the temple family spruce up the landscaping. Thank you to these Boy Scout troops who are devoting their time and efforts to this endeavor, as well as Ohev Shalom members. This Sunday, September 11th, is the first day of religious school. Thursday, September 15th, is the Sisterhood's opening program. A meet and greet with Rabbi Klein and his wife Lori will be featured. There will be food, fun, and games. There is no charge for the program, and it is open to all. Please RSVP to Patty Hibner or Miriam Robinson or to obtain further information. A Slichot service will be held on September 17th at 7:30 p.m. Check your mailboxes. The September bulletin, as well as tickets and information for the high holidays, have been mailed out, along with the annual Kol Nidre appeal letter. There will be babysitting available for the high holidays, provided by Carolyn Green. Join Rabbi Mark and fellow congregants for a 3-part series on the Jewish holidays. How to Holiday will provide an introduction and overview of the holidays. These gatherings are perfect for those new to Judaism, parents of Jewish children, and anyone who wants to learn more about the holidays. All classes will be conducted in the chapel from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. To sign up, please email Barb Plesko at pleskobarbara@gmail.com. The first one for the high holidays is Sunday, September 18th. The Tu B'Shvat edition will be Sunday, January 8th, and the Passover edition will be Sunday, April 2nd. Please come to the temple on Sunday, October 9th at 9 a.m. to help build our beautiful sukkah. Lots of help is needed to build it, so please come and bring your tools. RSVP to Sisterhood co-presidents Raina Jose or Jeanette Krebs if you're able to help. There will also be a book sale that day. Pizza in the Hut. On Friday, October 14th, from 5 to 6, for Ohev Shalom teens, grades 8 to 12, get to know Rabbi Mark and reconnect with other Ohev teams while enjoying pizza in the sukkah. Then on Sunday, October 16th, from 12 to 1, this will be for all Ohev religious school families. Enjoy lunch in the sukkah and family games with other Ohev families. To register for either of these events, again, please email Barb Plesko at pleskobarbara@gmail.com. And lastly, parents and guardians with college-age students Please provide Sisterhood with your student's college address so that they may receive cheerful notes and gifts at various holidays and times throughout the year. Information should include their names, street address, along with their dorm or mailbox number, city, state, and zip. Send this information to Monica Lutkins at monicalutkins@gmail.com. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Wow, that was a lot. Thank you. So, first of all, Ken and Robin, thank you for being here. And you'll be here in the morning and with us for the holidays and for several B'nai Mitzvot this year. Blessing to be able to share the pulpit with you.
My pleasure.
Yo, Conrad, thank you for being up there too. I don't know how many of you know this, but Conrad not only plays the organ, but he also runs the live stream from the organ. Did everybody know that? He's multi-talented up there. So that's a blessing. Cindy, thank you for sharing in leadership and service tonight and for the announcements. I need to just sort of tweak one that you made.
Okay.
You said show up tomorrow afternoon. Well, show up tomorrow morning for the bar mitzvah. And we have lots of rooms that you can change into your, from your suit or clothes for the bar mitzvah into the clothes to help us in the garden. Okay? Just throwing that out there. Okay? Because that's exactly what I'm going to be doing, because I'm not pulling weeds in a suit. Okay? So we're all good with that. Any other announcements or thoughts? I do know that, Shelley, thank you for the transition team becoming active and setting dates for us to be able to create some gatherings. It's a very full calendar, as you heard, and that's the sign of a very healthy community that we've got so much going on. So please, let's take advantage of the opportunities to share with each other. And for those of you watching on live stream, I promised a couple that I would wave. Please know that this is your house too, and for those that aren't necessarily comfortable inside, a lot of these things are outdoors, and we want you to be able to join in. If you have questions about any of the email addresses that that Cindy just shared, please call the office because the list of announcements are right there. Or you can email us at the office, and we'll make sure that you get in touch with the right people so that you can get involved. Cool. And with that, we are going to close by remembering that I have no idea what God is. God's never told me what God is, and I think that would be a problem since Maimonides said saying what God is a blasphemy. Because how can I, with my human limitations, understand something that's a whole lot bigger than anything I can fathom? And so we don't think of God as master in terms of master and servant as we've seen it through history. But it's almost the masterful, like you think of the artist as the great masters, the composers as the great masters, the people who do things that are so awesome beyond our capacity, but yet we know that they touch us. So we're going to conclude with the Don Olam, and that is on page
625.
625.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Leit Nasa V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Biyado Afkid Ruchi B'dishan Ve'ayira V'im Ruchi Giviati Adonai li V'lo ira Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Leit Nasa V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כה יציר נברא, בית נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה. אדון עולם.
So, I had one person last week who readily admitted that while there were double digits in the age, still a child at heart. So I'm going to ask anybody that would consider themselves to be a child at heart to join me. We're going to do Motzi, and then we're going to wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. So please come on up if you want to join us. Can you make my mask? My mask. Is it up there? Okay. Oh, it's okay. So you get to hold that. Only one. Gentlemen, you are still technically somebody's child at home, so come on up. And I'm asking to make sure it's safe for everybody. So, with that, how about a Motzi?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Take a piece.
Amen.
Amen. Gentlemen? Take a piece. And then Sawyer, since tomorrow's your bar mitzvah, your first responsibility as adult is you get to hold it and then offer it to folks. Wait. So, as we go from this place, may we move from strength to strength, celebration to celebration. May we be able to understand the stuff that happens that challenges us, even causes pain, as part of the process of living, but not the definition of who we are or how we walk through this world. That we seek blessings. We bring blessings. In fact, our purpose in existing is to create miracles in each other's lives. And may we be masterful in accomplishing just that. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Now you can offer the challah.